How's it going, everybody? This is Nicky Boy here. I just recently moved into a new apartment, so I haven't been making videos lately. I apologize for that, but since I moved into a new apartment, I figured I would try out a new format for these videos. I got a nice microphone here, and I was recently assigned a personal narrative story for my public speaking class, and I figured since I moved into a new apartment and we're trying out a new format, I would have had to outline the story anyway. So before I was kind of speaking off the cuff, didn't really outline anything. But if you like the more structured videos more, let me know, and I'll make more videos like this. So I'm going to tell you a story. And the story takes place the junior year. I was in high school. I'm a junior in college now. But really, the story begins in second grade. There was this girl named Christina. And Christina lived down the block from me for my entire life. I've known her since the second grade. I was this really awkward kid with huge gap in my front teeth, and I was this really strange kid, and she was this strange kid who had this fascination with bugs, and she had a gap in her front teeth and big glasses, and I had a crush on her in second grade. And we kept going to school with each other since it was a small town, and we wound up on the middle school robotics team together, and we became more and more friends. And then middle school ended, and we came into high school, and I started thinking of her as more of a friend. And one day I said, "Hey, I like you, and we should go out on a date." And she said, "Yeah, I like you too. We should go out on a date." And I was very happy about that. But so since I live in the suburbs, a very small town, not a whole lot of things to do. But the one good thing about my town is that we live very close to New York City, about 10-minute drive by car outside of New York City. And so you just hop on a train and you go to New York, and you're not bored anymore because there's plenty of stuff to do in New York. And I'm thinking to myself, since there's nothing to do around here, what am I going to do for a date? I don't want to bore her to death. And one day, we're talking about cults. And Christina has this fascination with cults. She is really interested in the Jonestown Massacre and the Moonies and all that good stuff. But her favorite cult of them all is the Scientologists. So we're talking about Scientologists one day, and this light goes off in my head. This light bulb goes off in my head, and I said, "Oh, I know what I'm going to do for our first date. I am going to take her to the Church of Scientology in New York." And I realized how that sounds, but you just need to hear the story. So we take the train into Times Square of New York, and we walk to the Church of Scientology. So I don't know if my dedicated viewers here have ever been to New York, but Times Square is this really touristy, commercial type of thing. If you're ever planning on going to New York, unless you really like flashy advertisements around you everywhere, I would recommend staying away from it. There's plenty of other things to do in New York, like walk the Highline Park. I would recommend doing that. But if you like seeing bunch of flashy advertisements, go to Times Square. Honestly, I don't think it's that great, but some people insist that you go there. So anyway, we get off Times Square. We walk to the Church of Scientology, which is just a couple blocks away from Times Square. And we walk through the doors, and we're immediately greeted by this nice girl. She's a little weird, though, and she offered us this special bath treatment in the basement of the building. And, she said, "I'm just walking through New York every day, and I wash my hands in the sink, and all this black soot comes off, and it's really gross. So I come here, and I take this bath treatment in the basement, and it makes me feel really rejuvenated. It feels great." And I'm thinking to myself, I've never walked through New York and had soot wash off of my hands just from walking around. So she's obviously trying to sell me some kind of chemical bath that's going to alter my brain chemistry, make me more susceptible to brainwashing. So I said, no, thank you. And she has us fill out these name cards with our information. And because Christine and I were both pretty educated about the tactics of the Church of Scientology, we know that if we give them our real information, they're going to use that information to blackmail us and find out information about us and, make us join the cult. So we fill out fake information. I think I put down my name was like Dick Hertz or something like that. And I think I said I lived at like 420 High Street. And she put down her name was like Rachel or something like that. We just filled out these fake, gave them this fake information for these information cards. So after we finished filling those out, this girl has us watch this 20-minute video which explained the Scientologist beliefs on these like panels in the wall with headphones on. And it was telling us about how in your past lives you accumulate these experiences that stay with your thetan, which is the Scientologist way of saying your soul. And those experiences are toxic to you now, and you need to get rid of them with e-meter therapy. And conveniently, this video left out Xenu, the volcanoes, and the DC-3 bombers that dropped atom bombs on the volcanoes and all that crazy crap. And probably for good reason, because if they came out and flat out said, this is what we believe, most people, I think, would probably not join Scientology. But anyway, we finished watching this video, and this preacher comes up to us, the Scientologist preacher, and he's this short, chubby black guy with a mustache, and he says to us, what class are you guys here for? And we said, what class are we here for? What do you mean? He said, well, most people your age that come in here, they're usually NYU students, and they've been assigned some kind of journalism project, and they think to themselves that Scientology would make a good topic. So most of the people we've seen here are student journalists. And we didn't want to tell them that we were here on a date because that would have been pretty weird and raise some eyebrows. So instead we said we were genuinely interested with the religion. And he said, okay, all right. And he seemed like a reasonable guy, He said he'd been trying out different religions for many years. He tried out Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, been all over, and Scientology just felt right to him. And you can't fault him for that. If you've genuinely given your best effort at all these other religions and Scientology just seems right to you, then best of luck. But God bless you. But anyway, so he says, how about you come to our Sunday Mass? That'll be good for you guys. And he says, Sunday Mass, and this really weird lady who is wearing a trench coat overhears him saying that they're going to have a Sunday Mass. And she was really tall, about 6'3", the 6'3" white lady with big glasses. She was blonde, really skinny. And she hears the preacher say, we're going to have Sunday Mass, and she just immediately goes insane. She's like, we're going to have Sunday Mass, and she runs around telling everybody, guys, we're having Sunday Mass. You have to come see it. It's going to be awesome. You have to come to this Mass. I'm like, okay, all right. I've never seen anybody get so excited for Mass before. But anyway, we walk into the Mass hall, which is this carpeted circular room. And you walk through these really great big doors with the Scientology cross on them. And they opened kind of like that, And the first thing you see when you walk into this great big Mass hall is this huge, huge portrait of L. Ron Hubbard. And if you don't know who L. Ron Hubbard is, he's the man who basically founded Scientology. And it was a painted portrait, and it was massive. It was like 15 feet by 10 feet, I want to say. Huge, huge, huge portrait. And there was also, next to the podium where the preacher was going to speak, there was a bust of L. Ron Hubbard's head. And it was a little creepy. But anyway, if you go on the Church of Scientology's website, They like to claim that they are the fastest growing religion in the world. And I have to tell you that this is a lie, because at the Mass there were only 5 or 6 other people there, whereas if you go to St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, at any given time on a Sunday, there will be at least 200 people there, watching a Mass. So anyway, in this circular room, there were posters on the wall that said things like "drugs destroy lives" and "you can heal your Thetan with e-meter therapy," and all this Scientology hogwash. So the preacher walks up to the podium, and he pulls out what I can only describe as the Scientologist Bible. And it wasn't Dianetics. It was like the Gospel of Scientology. It was this really thick gray book, and it had the Scientologist cross on it. And I guess it was their Mass book or something like that. I didn't get a chance to look into it, but I'm going to call it the Scientologist Bible. And the preacher gave a Mass for about an hour, and he didn't say anything that wasn't already public knowledge about their beliefs. Probably wasn't he was keeping the crazy tone down because he had some out-of-towners in there. But the one thing that stood out to me that I still remember was he was talking about past experiences and their effects on our lives today. And his example he used was the fight-or-flight mechanism. He said, back in the day when humans and dinosaurs were together, if you were sleeping on the ground and you felt the vibrations of a velociraptor coming towards you, you needed that fight-or-flight mechanism to tell you to run away from the velociraptor. But today, you don't need that because we live in civilized society and dinosaurs don't live here anymore. And I just remembered thinking to myself, humans and dinosaurs did not coexist. That's a scientific fact backed up by evidence and fossil records. But the last thing I want to do is start a commotion in the Church of Scientology, because next thing I know, I'll be at the bottom of the Hudson River wearing cement shoes. So anyway, the Mass ends, and everybody in the room gets up. They straighten their posture, and they sailor salute the portrait of L. Ron Hubbard on the wall. I guess other religions have stuff like this. People do the sign of the cross. The preacher says, "Go in peace" at the end of a Catholic Mass, and I guess these people just salute the portrait of L. Ron Hubbard. But anyway, when the Mass ends, we're confronted by Weird Trenchcoat Lady. And Weird Trenchcoat Lady insists that we watch this movie about Scientology. And, we're here to have the full Scientologist experience, so we said, okay, we'll watch your movie. And she leads us walk 3 feet out of the Mass hall, and to her left is this dark room with only 2 chairs in it and a projector. And Christina and I look at each other, and we say, okay, this is getting a little creepy, but, we're not we're not people who will back down from something being weird. So we decide to go into this dark room and watch the movie. So the Trenchcoat Lady shuts the door, and we're the only 2 people in the room, and the movie starts playing. And the opening scene is this dock worker in like the 40s, and somehow he breaks his leg on the job. I think like a box falls on it, something like that, and he breaks his leg. And he goes to the hospital, and the next scene is L. Ron Hubbard coming into the hospital, and he cures this man's broken leg with his newly developed technique of Dianetics. He says that his broken leg is psychosomatic, a function of your past painful experiences, and his leg was instantly healed with his technique of Dianetics. And it was just such bullshit. it was really cheesy, and there's I tried looking for a copy of this video on the internet, and I can't find it, and probably for good reason. Because it was so bad. Nobody in their right mind with half a brain would believe this video. But anyway, the whole movie was, about the process L. Ron Hubbard went through founding Scientology, writing Dianetics, and the movie puts forward this idea that Dianetics is this miracle cure for all diseases. All diseases, all injuries are psychosomatic and a result of your Thetans' past painful experiences. And they said the American medical professionals at the time had shunned Dianetics because Dianetics would eat into their profits, put them out of business because it's this miracle cure. And from an outsider's standpoint, I can tell you that's just their way of telling you not to listen to logical people. If you tell your worshipers that the medical profession is full of bullcrap and they are trying to discredit everything you believe, that's just another way for them to brainwash you, So going along with that theme, they tried to discredit psychiatry, the whole profession of psychiatry, by saying that it was invented by the Nazis, and the Nazis conducted horrible experiments on their patients that left them brain dead for the rest of their lives. And the reason they focused so much on psychiatry during this movie was because they want to substitute real psychotherapy for their e-meter therapy. If they can tell you that psychologists today are just they're Nazis trying to brainwash you, make you brain dead, and you believe it, your alternative is e-meter therapy, of course you're going to go and join the Scientologists, It's really messed up stuff. Really, really crazy. I don't know how anybody in their right mind could believe this, but humans. So, movie ends. A crazy blonde lady runs in. The instant the movie ends, this crazy blonde lady in the trench coat runs in. And that makes me think that she was watching us the whole time. Because how else would she know that the movie had just ended and that was the right time to run in unless she was watching us? So it was a little creepy. But so she runs in and she's got 2 copies of Dianetics in her hands. And she says, "Okay, I got 2 copies of Dianetics here for you guys to buy, only $49.99 each. We accept checks or credit cards or cash." And I'm not going to drop $50 on a book of bullshit. So I said, "I'm sorry, but we don't have the money right now. Maybe we'll come back later and we'll buy it then." And she says, "Well, this book is going to change your life, so you can spare the money now and buy it. It's only $50 and it's going to change the rest of your life." And I said, "No, thanks. I think we're going to leave now." And she was blocking the door, and I kind of had to, shoulder my way through her so that we could leave the building. And she's trailing after us with these copies of Dianetics in her hand. She's like, "Really, you guys need to try this. It's gonna change your life." And we walk out of the Church of Scientology and we keep walking down the block until we can't see it anymore. And Christine and I get on the subway and we're gonna make our way to the Hayden Planetarium, which is the second part of our date. And the whole time we were on the subway, we just kept looking at each other like, what the fuck did we just see? And we were just laughing so hard, and it was really something else. It was really something else. So the last time I talked to her about that date was probably a year ago. She still said that it was the best first date that she had ever been on. And the moral of the story is that you shouldn't be afraid to do something out of the ordinary. Going out of your comfort zone and doing unconventional things makes for good stories and memorable stories. And also, Scientologists are just as weird and brainwashed as everybody thinks they are. And I will tell you that from firsthand experience, having been to the Church of Scientology on a date. So that's my story. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this format for videos, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make more videos like this. Give me stuff to talk about. I'd really like to share my opinions with all of you fine people. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.